Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna. Turn off the chanting. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto Chapter 1 Text number
25. Please repeat after me. Vishnurmaya Bhagavati Vishnurmaya Bhagavati Yaya Sammohitam Jagat Yaya Sammohitam Jagat Adishta Prabhanu Prabhunamshena Adishta Prabhunamshena Karyarte Sambhavishyati Karyarte Sambhavishyati. Prabhunamshena. Vishnurmaya Bhagavati Ya Sammohitam Jagat Adishta Prabhunamshena Karyarte Sambhavishyati. Ya Sammohitam Jagat Adishta Prabhunamshena Mayate Sambhavishyati. Vishnurmaya Bhagavati Yaya Sammohitam Jagat Adishta Prabhunamshena Karyate Sambhavishyati. Word to word translation. Please repeat after me. Vishnu Maya, the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Bhagavati, as good as Bhagavan and therefore known as Bhagavati. Yaya, by whom? Sammohitam, captivated. Jagat, all the worlds, both material and spiritual. Adishta, being ordered. Prabhuna, by the Master. Amshena, with her different potential factors. Karya Arthe, for executing business. Sambhavishyati, would also appear. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The potency of the Lord, known as Vishnu Maya, who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will also appear with Lord Krishna. This potency, acting in different capacities, captivates all the worlds, both material and spiritual. At the request of her master, she will appear with her different potencies in order to execute the work of the Lord. Purport. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. Shvetashpatara Upanishad 6.8. In the Vedas, it is said that the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called by different names such as Yogamaya and Mahamaya. Ultimately, however, the Lord's potency is one, exactly as electric potency is one, although it can act both to cool and to heat. The Lord's potency acts in both the spiritual and material worlds. In the spiritual world, the Lord's potency works as Yogamaya, and in the material world, the same potency works as Mahamaya, exactly as electricity works in both a heater and a cooler. In the material world, this potency, working as Mahamaya, acts upon the conditioned souls to deprive them more and more of devotional service. It is said, Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam. In the material world, the conditioned soul thinks of himself as a product of Triguna, the three modes of material nature. This is the bodily conception of life. Because of associating with the three gunas of the material potency, everyone identifies himself with his body. Someone is thinking he is a Brahmana, someone a Kshatriya, and someone a Vaishya or Shudra. Actually, however, one is neither a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, nor a Shudra. One is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, Mame Vamshaha. But because of being covered by the material energy, Mahamaya, one identifies himself in these different ways. When the conditioned soul becomes liberated, however, he thinks himself an eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishnera Nitya Dasa. When he comes to that position, the same potency, acting as Yogamaya, increasingly helps him become purified and devote his energy to the service of the Lord. In either case, whether the soul is conditioned or liberated, the Lord is supreme, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. It is by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the material energy, Mahamaya, works upon the conditioned soul. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Within conditioned life, no one has freedom. But because one is bewildered, being subject to the rule of Mahamaya, one foolishly thinks himself independent. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. But when the conditioned soul becomes liberated by executing devotional service, he is given a greater and greater chance to relish a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different transcendental statuses, such as Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, and Madhurya Rasa. Thus, the Lord's potency, Vishnu Maya, has two features, Avarnika and Unmukha. When the Lord appeared, his potency came with him and acted in different ways. She acted as Yogamaya with Yashoda, Devaki, and other intimate relations of the Lord. And she acted in different way with Kamsa, Shalva, and other asuras. By the order of Lord Krishna, his potency, Yogamaya, came with him and exhibited different activities according to the time and circumstances. Karyarte sambhavishyati. Yogamaya acted differently to execute different purposes desired by the Lord. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.13, Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritimashhritaha. The Mahatmas who fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord are directed by Yogamaya, whereas the Duratmas, those who are devoid of devotional service, are directed by Mahamaya. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Enam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gauravaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The potency of the Lord, known as Vishnumaya, who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will also appear with Lord Krishna. This potency, acting in different capacities, captivates all the worlds, both material and spiritual. At the request of her master, she will appear with her different potencies in order to execute the work of the Lord. So we see here a very interesting description of the two potencies of the Lord. Mahamaya and Yogamaya are being described over here. It is important to note, it is telling the sammohitam. We usually associate moha or illusion as something negative, right? We always say, oh, he is an illusion or she is an illusion, right? Moha, that which is not. But here it's being said, sammohitam. Sammohitam happens in both the worlds, both material and spiritual. Right? Oh, they are also in moha in the spiritual world? The technical answer is yes. That is why Prabhupada gives this very nice example. Electricity, the same electricity, when you use it in a heater, produces heat. And the same electricity, when is used in a air conditioner or a cooling device, it cools. Right? So same thing is happening with the energies of the Lord. You know, many times in the Shastras, the example of a spiritual spark is given. Right? And when the spark falls in different areas, in different places, it has different manifestations. When the spark falls in water or a damp place, what happens? It immediately extinguishes. When you see that spark now, as soon as it falls and damp, extinguishes, it has no characteristics of its original self. There is no light, there is no heat, there is no brightness. Right? Same spark, when it falls in, let's say, a dry hay, something that's very conducive, what will happen? Catch fire. In fact, now it's manifesting all its qualities of a spark. It is full of fire, light, and bright. So similarly, Prabhupada, that's why Prabhupada used example, when we are subject to the material energy, Mahamaya, then it's got a cooling effect. It's like putting you in cold water, in dampness. All our qualities are not manifest. They actually become extinguished. When it's the same thing in Yoga Maya, it's completely different. Right? So then the question becomes, how do we place ourselves in the right energy of the Lord? Which is the other example Prabhupada gives to describe the two energies and the two situations. Regularly Prabhupada uses. In that example, how do you differentiate between material and spiritual? Yeah, that's also. So when you put the iron rod in the fire, it starts manifesting its fiery qualities. But there's another very distinguished example. Prabhupada clearly says the distinction between Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. That is the same example that already was described. What other example? How we feel when we are in Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Kitten and a rat in the hands of a cat, in the mouth of the cat. Right? You see, a cat, it's actually, when it catches a rat, it doesn't actually eat it up immediately, it seems. It plays around with it for some time. No. This thing, the rat is thinking it's escaping. It will go this way, that way. It'll let it go, and then tuck, it'll catch it. It plays around and then tuck one bite, because one bite is enough to kill it. But it'll play around with it. And then, what is the rat feeling at that point? Huh? Anxiety. And it is like fear. And I'm going to die. I'm going to escape. I'm going to die. And then, it's so painful. And then it's like that. The same thing, a kitten is being held, by the cat. What is the kitten feeling? Like it's purring and it's like, meow, and then there's so much of loving relationship being exchanged between the mother and the child, right? It's feeling so safe, so cared for. Look at this, how carefully my mother is taking me from this place and putting me over here. Full surrender, it is just like this, and it's loving looking, and the mother is expressing her deep love and affection by. So similarly, when we are under the grip of Yoga Maya, Sammohitam, we'll be in Moha. But what is our experience of joy and filled with this thing? So in the purport, Prabhupada is telling, is saying that the Yoga Maya is acting in ways to facilitate. But when the conditioned soul becomes liberated by executing devotional service, he is given a greater and greater chance to relish a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different transcendental statuses, such as Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, and Madhurya Rasa. So, we should ask ourselves, like in the material world, right here, in this present physical body that we have, we can be subject to Mahamaya and Yoga Maya. In the same very physical body we have. So, there are two things that come up. One, which energy is acting upon us at this point? Straight away, So the it depends. You want to be an illusionist. Our whole discussion of this thing is how do we be in Yoga Maya? And you're saying we are already subject to Maya. Then there is no question itself of being. We are actually supposed to, right now when we are sitting in Bhagavatam class and listening to Bhagavatam, we are at this moment in Yoga Maya. We are not feeling, that's why I said, it's like, what are you feeling? Right now, are you feeling, oh, I'm going to die, my cat, this cat is going to catch me and is going to kill me and I'm suffering and all this. Is that what you're feeling right now? Excitement is there. Oh, one day I'll also be in one of the rasas of the Lord. Oh, I'll also be in the spiritual world. Because we're transcending the imperfections of this world. Right? What is the way, in which this material world manifests? Four things Bhagavad Gita Krishna says. How does it manifest material world? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam. Right? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. This how the Dukkha, Dosha are Darshanam, they are shown. Right? So, we should ask ourselves, like every day, every moment, our goal is to put ourselves more and more in Yoga Maya. Under the protection of Yoga Maya. And what is Yoga Maya represented as in this material world, in the world, or how do we say in the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy? Who is the representation of Yoga Maya? Huh? Radharani, right? Radharani, that's why Radharani is such a special place. We keep begging for her mercy, saying, oh Radharani, keep me under your protection. Right? We don't want to be under Durga's protection. We want to be under Radharani's protection. How do we get Radharani's mercy? Right? How do we get her protection? How do we get her shelter? That is the whole prerogative or the main underlying factor of spiritual life itself. So we see in the Bhagavatam there is description of different devotees. So we can now, first is understand that just like electricity can produce cold and heat, this energy of the Lord, which is called the material world, it is also one of the Lord's energies. There is no difference. In fact, many places in the Bible they said, oh, material energy for the Supreme Lord is same as spiritual energy. There is no difference for the Supreme Lord. Just energy of the Lord. Just that it is going through an air conditioner or some water producing this thing. There are some things out of water. So what is happening? The effect is dampening, cooling, instead of being hot and rejuvenating. So we should ask ourselves, how do we place ourselves in Yoga Maya? There is a very nice story of description of Bharat Maharaj. Which canto is that? Nobody knows? First, second, third, fourth. In the fifth canto, there is a description of Bharat Maharaj and how Bharat Maharaj was so elevated, right? He left his kingdom, went to the forest to practice spiritual life, and he was actually very deeply engaged in spiritual life. It was not that, he was not in proper consciousness, or he didn't do the right things. He was in very high consciousness. But somehow, if he was attracted by the deer, And instead of, you know, that's how Maya acts, because it's like the same energy. You have to be very careful. And then he becomes so attached to the deer. Oh, where is the deer? Oh, deer, come here. Feed the deer. Take care of the deer. He gave up his entire kingdom, his wife and his children and his palace and all that opulence. And now he's getting attracted by deer. And then in that consciousness, when the deer one day does not come back, he's going and looking for the deer, anxious. Oh, where is it? How come it didn't come back? I hope he is safe. What is happening? And this thing, continuously thinking of the deer. He gives up his body. And then what happens next life? He becomes a deer. Deer first. So there, very nice, the description is there. At the time of death, the king saw that the deer was sitting by his side, exactly like his own son, and was lamenting his death. Actually, the mind of the king was absorbed in the body of the deer, and consequently, like those bereft of Krishna consciousness, he left the world, the deer, and his material body, and acquired the body of a deer. However, there was one advantage. Although he lost his human body and received the body of a deer, he did not forget the incidents of his past life. Although in the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj, due to his rigid devotional practice, service in his past life, could understand the cause of his birth in that body. Considering his past and present life, he constantly repented his activities, speaking in the following way. So this gives an example of how we should act. In the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj began to lament. What misfortune! I have fallen from the path of the self-realized. I gave up my real sons, wife and home to advance in spiritual life, and I took shelter in a solitary holy place in the forest. I became self-controlled and self-realized, and I engaged constantly in devotional service, hearing, thinking, chanting, worshipping, and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. I was successful in my attempt, so much so that my mind was always absorbed in devotional service. However, due to my personal foolishness, my mind again became attached, this time to a deer. Now I have obtained the body of a deer and have fallen far from my devotional practices. See, Bharat Maharaj is lamenting his situation. Although Bharat Maharaj received the body of a deer, by constant repentance, he became completely detached from all material things. He did not disclose these things to anyone, but he left his mother deer in a place known as Kalanjara mountain, where he was born. He again went to the forest of Shalagrama and to the ashrama of Pulastya and Pulaha. Remaining in that ashram, the great King Bharat Maharaj was now very careful not to fall victim to bad association. Without disclosing his past to anyone, he remained in that ashram and he ate dry leaves only. He was not exactly alone, for he had the association of the Supersoul. In this way, he waited for death in the body of a deer. Bathing in that holy place, he finally gave up that body. So, I'd like to hear from all of you in these 3 verses. What are you hearing? Like, what are the things that he did that we could try to emulate? He avoided unfavorable association. Mother is not a bad association, but unfavorable association. For the deer, there was no harsh words. You're jumping one chapter itself. That is Jada Bharat, this thing. But in these verses, what else? Huh? He repented. He constantly was remembering his situation. Right? He gave up mother's association, yes, but what did he actually do? He went particularly to Shalagrama and forest, and then he went to Pulastya's and Pulaha's ashrama. Right? He knew, oh, this is the ashram. I should get the association of devotees and be constantly in their association. What else? Yeah, what was the austerity he was doing? He was eating only dry leaves. Right? So he was trying to put himself in a situation that Mahamaya's influence does not happen, but he comes under Yogamaya's influence. Right? So, and also, he did not, go about trying to start a whole following or something. He said he didn't talk to anybody about his situation. Just kept to himself, right? Without disclosing his past to anyone, he remained in that ashram and ate dry leaves only. And he was very careful not to fall victim to bad association. Right? Remaining in that ashram. So I think some of the things that help us to remain in Yoga Maya are being talked about here. See, we get caught up in our external situations. When we are caught in that external situations, we don't realize how foolish it is. That's why we have to keep here into the Bhagavatam, here into transcendental pastimes, to raise ourselves up from the quagmire we get buried under. See, let's say we are all doing a drama, right? In the drama, somebody is a rich person, right? And everybody is like, oh, Bohaparag, and then they're all doing this and all that. He's like, he's walking around. Right? And then in 15 minutes, the drama is over. So, if we get so caught up, oh, why he only has to become king? Why can't I become king? And see, we both were classmates. Now he is king, I am not king. We just get caught in the story. And this is that is there. See, when he was king, he didn't take this thing of me, or he didn't take this thing. She looked at me insultingly. Didn't talk back to me. I called and this thing. You just get caught up in that story. 15 minutes you wait, the drama is over. That's all it takes. Afterwards, is that person king? He's back to what the person is. You may actually be, in a better position than that person. But we get caught up in this good, but first of all, the other fallacy is this is good, that is bad. Prabhupada used to give the example. He said, it is like saying wet stool is good or dry stool is good. No, actually dry stool is better than wet stool. It doesn't stick to this thing. So I want wet stool. It is stool. It doesn't matter whether it is wet or dry, or partially dry, partially wet. It is stool. So in a similar way, we have to develop detachment from this material world and constantly put ourselves in different situations that help us connect our consciousness to the Supreme, that help us put our consciousness in such a way that we are able to relish the pastimes of the Lord. And our actions should help us to get better and better into higher and higher consciousness, move closer and closer to the Lord. and experience more and more of the sammohitam, but of the yogamaya. In the spiritual world, in yogamaya's influence, you are also sammohitam. How is it sammohitam over there? The different associates of the Lord don't even have an idea that Krishna is, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is this, is that. Because it comes in the way of experiencing that rasa. If Krishna is your friend, with friends means you'll joke around one day, you'll pull their leg, you'll play tricks on them. Right? If you can remember that Krishna is the Supreme Person, can you play tricks on him? Will Krishna himself enjoy being played tricks if he knows, if Krishna knows that a trick is being played on him, how will he enjoy the tricks being played? That is the nature of Yogamaya. Every moment Yogamaya is acting to enhance all the pastimes of the Lord. And so, we should take this example of Bharat Maharaj. Actually, in the next chapter, when Bharat Maharaj, what does he become next life? Right? He becomes Jada Bharat. Now, as Jada Bharat, also, he was very, very cautious. Right? Due to his being especially gifted with the Lord's mercy, Bharat Maharaj could remember the incidents of his past life. Although he received the body of a Brahmana, he was still very much afraid of his relatives and friends who were not devotees. He was born in a Brahminical family, but he was afraid of his relatives and friends who were not devotees. He was very cautious of such association because he feared that he would again fall down. Consequently, he manifested himself before the public eye as a madman, dull, blind and deaf, so that others would not try to talk to him. In this way, he saved himself from bad association. Within, he was always thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord and chanting of the Lord's glories, which save one from the bondage of fruitive action. In this way, he saved himself from the onslaught of non-devotee associates. Right? So there's a whole description. There are too many things. We're up for time. So our goal in life should be, how can we situate ourselves more and more in Yogamaya, and in Yogamaya relish the different wonderful qualities. And how can we understand whether at this moment I am in Yogamaya or Mahamaya? What is our consciousness? How are we feeling? Are we feeling protected, loved, cared, and in the wonderful association of the Lord and His devotees? Or are we feeling, anxious, fearful, afraid of the future? What is going to happen tomorrow? What is going to happen today? This person do that person do that, this person did that. If that is our consciousness, we can understand we are in Mahamaya at any given time. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. So, will anybody has any quick questions or comments before we end? We will take one question. No questions? As we just read in the story of Jada Bharat Maharaj, the primary thing is to remain in good association and practice. So like we said, practicing austerities, by remaining, in this, it is helps us to always, like said, repentance. We should understand that as long as in this material body, we are subjected to the vagaries of this material body, the limitations of this body. We cannot fully manifest all spiritual qualities because of this limitation. And so we should be careful in that association. How are we dealing with each other? How are we dealing? How are we spending our energies that are given to us? Because each of us is manifested with certain energies. How are we spending our time? Kala. If we are putting any of our time towards material things, that is time. Two ways it is bad. One way it is bad because it takes your consciousness lower. It puts you into lower consciousness, like putting water on the fire. Second way it is bad is because the same time could have been used for spiritual association, which could have actually increased the heat. So it's a double whammy. It's taking you that much lower in your consciousness. So that's why we should constantly mold our lives and our activities in a way that we can remain in Yogamaya. And the beauty is that it takes a little effort to put ourselves in that situation, to get to that situation, little austerity, little practice, little carefulness from our side. But once we are there, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It rejuvenates us, it energizes us and takes us more and more closer to Krishna, and where we can engage in that. Okay, we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Bol Premanand.